How would you coach somebody who felt insignificant at this moment in time, who felt that they weren't having impact? What would you say to them? How would you talk them through that?
My first thing would be I'd go back to the formula I mentioned of passion. I would look for something that ignites their passion. Like, what are you excited about? Some people say, I love music. And then you explore, okay, so how can the music that you love help you become a little more confident, help you make a contribution? It's not, you never want to force someone to do something that's not natural to them. We all have a mission, we're just not aware of it. So you find some people are on creativity, some people are very cerebral, very analytical. You try to identify traits or talents or skills or passions, and then say, okay, so every day, just like you exercise or you eat and have a healthy diet, every day do something that expresses the thing you're passionate about. And try to do it in a way that shares it with someone else. Doing a kind act, a random act of kindness every day. The key thing is to remember it's not just mission, it's also to be proactive. When you don't have a mission, then you become reactive. Like, I don't know what drives me today. Oh, a phone call comes in. This one wants something. Okay, now I know what I need to do. Instead of waiting to react, when you know what you're good at or what you want to do, then you're going to initiate. You'll be proactive. You will generate. We won't be just takers, you'll be a giver. And that's the real goal with anybody. You want to get them from a place of just waiting around for something to happen to make things happen. My father, as I mentioned, was a journalist. He told me many times, and I love this expression, he says there are three types of people. People who make things happen, people who watch things happen, and people who ask what happened. You want to be a person who makes things happen. So my way of coaching or counseling anyone is the first thing is try to get them, and baby steps. You don't have to run a marathon of 22 miles. Start with a few steps, but that you initiated. Simple example, you have email, you have text, you have social media. Every day commit to sharing a kind, inspiring thought with someone else. It doesn't take much, it's pressing a button. You don't even have to create the content. Share something that came your way. And you can't imagine what happens when a person begins to be proactive. Proactivity breeds proactivity because then it also empowers you. You feel, oh, you know what? I can initiate.
One of the things that you're talking about there is inspiring people to make that change or to have that awareness, to find purpose. And then, before this conversation, I spoke about what happened to myself. It was the loss of my son that kind of triggered that for me. And, it put me into a position where I had this like amazing awareness that I wanted to do something that had meaning behind it to help others. Is there, what's your thoughts on the idea of something bad having to happen to somebody to create that awareness? Is that the thing that happens? Can people find it themselves without that?
Well, excellent question. Look, I'm going to talk about a comfort zone. We all like comfort zones because it makes us comfortable, obviously. But comfort zones sound like innocuous, but the truth is they're very dangerous, actually, for the human condition. Because when you're too comfortable, you're not motivated. So the strange thing is that as much as we don't like to say it, it's when your system is shaken up and disrupted is usually when we wake up to deeper realities. If everything's comfortable, I'll sit around on my couch potato, and really do nothing. I don't have to do anything. Unfortunately, and this is the big mystery that no one has really figured out, maybe this is part of God's mysterious plan, that there's nothing that wakes a person up like than pain. When you're comfortable, you're not necessarily, you'll eat and sleep and do your thing. So tragedy, as Leonard Cohen puts it, is that there's no such thing as a perfect life. There's no such thing as a perfect offering. Life is filled with cracks. Cracks are tragedies, are setbacks, are challenges. But it's through the cracks that the light gets in. Because if there's no crack in the egg, the chick will never get out. So the truth is we have to look at pain and suffering not as something we invite and welcome. We prefer not to have it. But if it does come our way, you have to see it as the ability for a new birthing, for like a paradigm shift. And all paradigm shifts happen through some disruption. We hope the disruption is minimal. I'm sorry to hear about your son, but you know yourself what came out of it. And we hope this could have come without that. Can it happen? Yeah, there are people who have perhaps are blessed with grace and moments of epiphanies and awakenings where something, but often it happens through some disruption. It can be a loss, it can be a death, it can be an unexpected getting fired from a job, having to move, a divorce, a betrayal. As I said, we hope it should be in the minimal, but it's usually the shakeups that cause you to go deeper. I'll quote Warren Buffett. He says that you don't know who's been swimming naked until the tide is out. You know, when the water is high, everybody can be swimming. You don't know who's who. It's when the lights dim and life becomes a little more challenging, that's when you see the cracks. And that's where we're really tested. I mean, I don't like to use cliches, but I'll quote another. I think it's Eleanor Roosevelt that said, I think she said about women, but I think you could say about all of us, that we're like tea bags. You don't know how strong you are until you put into hot water. And then suddenly this little tea bag releases that powerful taste. So I think that's life. Challenges and getting out of your comfort zone is the key to growth. Now, I would advise people, don't wait for a tragedy. Don't wait for a loss. Bring it upon yourself if you can. But you need a motivation. You need a motivation. I could say personally for myself, I've been blessed. I mean, I lost my father, he passed away. We don't say, my mother used to always say, I didn't lose my husband, I know exactly where he is. You know, with it. But my point being is that, but I really have been blessed. I didn't suffer any, thank God, serious tragedies of loss of a young child or loss of anything of that nature or any such tragedy. And may be the rest of my life that way. But I've seen a lot of pain. I've seen around me, family and others. And I deal with it a lot because people come to speak with me. So I would always say, listen, get out of your comfort zone before you're forced to get out of it. Because that's the key to growth. And it's always that way. It's competition, it's angst, a certain restlessness that gets you going. So in your situation, I'm sure that you're a different person. You'll never be the same. But it's the cracks that allow the light in. The greatest things in life have come through the pains and agonies and tragedies that we've experienced.